Last night I had a dream. I had a dream that I was standing over the map of the United States, and it wasn't a normal map. It was like one of those massive model train setups collectors build in their basements, 3D hills, valleys, and elevated terrain, except this one wasn't detailed. There were no cities, no roads, no borders, just green, mucus green, like infection under the surface, and I was praying over it. And I had this overwhelming sense that we're sick, but not terminally. Here's what struck me. The hills weren't mountains. They were only about 6 inches high, not towering, not permanent, just elevated sickness, which means something important. This isn't irreversible. It can be healed, but only if we're willing to diagnose it honestly. Right now in America, we don't just disagree. We live in completely different realities. Depending on what side of the algorithm you're on, you see a different country, different villains, different heroes, different crises, different narratives. It feels like one side believes they're defending the soul of the nation, and the other believes they're protecting it from authoritarian collapse. That's not normal disagreement, that's fracture. And when fracture becomes identity, when we stop listening, we stop assuming good intent, we stop seeing fellow citizens as neighbors, that's sickness. But here's the uncomfortable part. Before I diagnose the country, I have to diagnose myself. In that dream, I felt something very clear. Step one isn't fixing them. It's humbling myself, turning from my own pride, my own certainty, my own rush to judgment. Because it's easy to think, if everyone just saw what I see, we'd be fine. But what if part of the sickness is that we all think like that? Humility is not weakness, it's strength under control. And if we want national healing, it starts at the smallest level, the individual heart, mine, yours. So here's what I actually believe. There's something else I felt in that dream. Some of those green hills weren't random. They felt connected, like symptoms, like coordinated elevation. And I do believe honestly that one side of our political landscape is moving in a direction that concerns me deeply. A direction that centralizes authority, expands federal control in every domain of life, labels dissent as misinformation, replaces personal responsibility with state management. And I believe that pattern is more prevalent on the left right now. That doesn't mean every Democrat is evil. It doesn't mean everyone voting blue hates America. Most Americans, left, right, center, want what's best for our country. They just disagree on what the biggest threats are, what solutions work, who to trust. And the media ecosystem profits from making those disagreements feel existential. Division drives engagement, outrage drives clicks, fear drives loyalty. But constant outrage is not sustainable for a nation. And when we start believing that the other half of the country is evil, we've already lost something foundational. Now listen carefully. You can believe strongly in your political convictions. You can believe certain policies are harmful. You can believe leadership matters deeply. But if your political stance requires hatred to sustain it, that's infection. And that's part of the green hills on the map. What gave me hope in the dream was this. The hills were small. They weren't permanent structures. They were inflamed areas. Inflammation can go down. Sickness can heal. But healing requires honest diagnosis, personal responsibility, less consumption of outrage, more real conversations, and the courage to speak truth without contempt. We don't heal a body by screaming at it. We heal it by restoring balance. So here's my challenge to you, not the country, to you, to me. This week, before sharing that article, before reacting to that headline, before assuming the worst about someone who disagrees with you, pause and ask, am I adding to the inflammation or am I reducing it? Because nations don't collapse overnight. They erode through contempt and they heal through character. In my dream, I was praying over that map and I felt this. We are not beyond repair, but healing won't come from louder voices. It will come from deeper ones, from men and women willing to be humble, strong, clear-minded, and unwilling to hate their neighbor. We are sick, but we are not doomed, and 6-inch hills can be flattened.